What are you doing with your skin? And why are people I'm seeing looking younger? There's a new trend emerging. People have been ditching these fillers. What are people doing instead? Yes, you've seen the Kardashians dissolve their faces and their butts, but first we need to know the why. I'm Dr. Rajani, and everyone has said goodbye to facial fillers. That chapter is over. Now what should you do instead? You want to hear something that's going to blow your mind? Well, I was just at the aesthetic show, the biggest aesthetic show in the USA, where I've lectured for, maybe 15 years. This was after I was in Korea working on biostimulators and skin boosters. And what I saw blew my mind, literally. Not a lot of things surprise me these days, as I've been around the block maybe one or two times, but this did. In fact, I had to use my friend Mr. Google, or some of you use it, Dr. Google, to verify this. Check this out. In fact, when I Googled it, look what I found. This totally validated what I was thinking. Fillers died already. But then I had to ask, what are people doing instead? And why are people I'm seeing looking younger? You see, keep in mind, this trend happened in Asia and even Europe years ago. Let me walk you through this, because what I'm going to share with you right now are the exact strategies, the exact simple steps to get started making big changes in your skin, your glow, your lifting, and your radiance. Even if you have a small budget. Yes, a very small budget. Why I know this? Because right after I got back from the aesthetic show, the most insane thing happened to me. When I was in my clinic and I was at a loss of words. I was actually at a loss of words. Speechless, befuddled, bewildered. I know it's a little hard to believe, me without words. But it was towards the end of my practice day. I walk into a treatment room and the client looks like she found the fountain of youth. Her skin looked 10 years younger. Everything was tight, lifted. And I was like, what are you doing with your skin? It was a patient I had seen 8 weeks prior, and she has very little money. I think that for women in particular who are listening to this and are experiencing SAG, maybe some estrogen loss, fine lines, and a general dullness to their skin, and they have not been able to see changes so far, well, I believe I have the solution. And it can be all natural, semi-natural, or totally synthetic. Your choice. This has just slightly nudged how I see aesthetics, and I'll just put it that way. I feel like a lot of the beliefs that we have in the aesthetic world, well, they're relatively new and immature. Fillers are relatively new. We have learned our lesson. This is what you need to know, and the huge shift that's coming. After these 10 minutes, you'll be ahead of the skincare game. So in 2003, I held the first syringe of Restylane. It was just FDA approved in the United States, and I had it in my hand. Yeah, 21 years of hyaluronic acids have gone by. But now there's a new trend emerging. People have been ditching these fillers. Yes, you've seen the Kardashians dissolve their faces and their butts. Well, to some degree. Likely not completely. But first we need to know the why. Well, there are overfilled faces everywhere, right? Well, not so fast. Remember when fillers were the hottest thing? I did a recent video on Lisa Rinna. She was called out for having overdone cheeks. She blamed it on a new filler, Skin Vive, marketed as a skin booster for her unnatural look. She thought it would make her look glowing, add glow to her skin, but instead it added volume. Why? Well, it's not a real skin booster. It's actually Vycross technology, and it's a skin filler masquerading as a booster. But how would you know? Every article in your household magazine called it a skin booster. Are you feeling misled yet? Yep, sorry, that's my industry. You see, in any other country than the United States and Canada, that's a laughable narrative that it's a skin booster. But that's why you watch this channel. And if you get value from this channel, like and subscribe. Only 35% of you are subscribed who watch me regularly. I make these videos for free. I have a passion for the industry and the truth. If you value that, throw me a bone and subscribe. So what did my patient do? Well, it wasn't the Americanized skin boosters. You see, she had done fillers before, and she had what we call filler fatigue. Let's talk a little bit the science behind filler fatigue. Fillers draw in water, creating a swollen look, some more than others, especially in the lips, the cheeks, the under eyes. Hyaluronic acid can hold up to 1,000 times its weight in water, making it great for skincare, but tricky for injectables. Too much filler can lead to a puffy, glistening face. Remember that malar fat pad or puffy under eyes, especially in the morning or after foods like sushi. Incidents like Jennifer Aniston with her under eye bag and filler fiasco a couple of weeks ago, Kylie Jenner at the Paris Fashion Week, well, they don't help the case for fillers. And I'll link an exact video at the end of this so you understand the nuances and better options for under eyes in particular. I know that's a most common one and a most common concern for you. Look at these celebrities. What did you look at first? I can guarantee you it was their eyes, under eyes, eye color, lashes, and brows. It's no coincidence. Everything about the eye is a top seller in the aesthetic world. But when it goes south, as it did with Kylie and Jennifer, it's like a bruise on ivory skin. Filler blindness? Yep. You see that thing we call perception drift? Now you tell me in the comments below, do you have a friend or colleague that has this? It's when you lose track of what you used to look like because your brain normalizes the changes you see, and these people likely do not see anything unusual about their look. Have they drifted? You tell me, but you get the point. It's like growing your hair out. You see yourself every day, but then a friend hasn't seen you in months and they say, your hair is huge. At first you're taken back, but then you realize, oh yeah, it was short 6 months ago. But unfortunately, you cannot just remove fillers like you can change your hair. Well, you kind of can remove some, but then there are consequences to that. Unevenness, maybe some fat loss, changes in the smaz, and that discussion is, of course, for another time. Oh, wait, did that video get done already? I think it did. I'll link it at the end. So you see, many start with natural looking results, but end up overdoing it as they chase that youthful look. This has led to the stigma around fillers and this huge decline in filler sales. Remember, people only see the bad work. So these stick out like a sore thumb. I should say a big lip, a cat cheek, a face that does not move. The media loves to highlight the bad filler jobs like Lisa Rinna. We see the unnatural looks but miss the celebrities who have done it right because natural looking filler is undetectable. This adds to the negative bias and fear around fillers. You see, this is exactly what my patient had. Filler fatigue and perception drift. She had dissolved all of her fillers and then she looked quote unquote older because a lot of the volume went from her face. But what she did next was what fascinated me. She went to growth factor microneedling. Yes, a $100 solution. But this next part is what befuddled me. You see, she then didn't have enough money to keep going with this, and she went to dry microneedling for a while. And with this routine, she looked phenomenal. Now, I'll put a video up here because I recently did one about microneedling with a derma roller at 0.2 to 0.5 millimeters and a study showing with derma rolling an up to 400% increase in collagen in the facial region. With filler fatigue and media negativity, what's the alternative? Enter biostimulators. Not just any, not what your provider tells you to use because 90% of them are trained by the companies. Let me repeat that. Yes, 90% of people you're seeing are trained by the companies or more. So what they're going to recommend to you is what they're told to know. The real ones, the real skin boosters, are gaining popularity. It's because they avoid the pitfalls of fillers and they promote natural looking results. So here in the United States, sales of biostimulators like Sculptra are on the rise. It's what we have here. But there are dozens more globally you need to know about. Unlike fillers, biostimulators help your skin regenerate its own collagen, its own elastin. They don't attract water, so you don't get puffiness. Plus, you can't feel them under your skin. I was recently in Korea doing these, and here's a picture. What I want you to see here, this one is Rejuran, and we're doing this treatment on a patient, and you can see these are superficial. They're intradermal, and that's how you know a true skin booster. They go intradermal. You do not want to put a cross-linked American-style filler type of skin booster in this layer. And here you can see a picture. We're using a gun device that was specifically designed to get to the exact layer, so you can do multiple penetrations on the skin at the same time. But these are real skin boosters. Sounds like a win-win, right? Yeah, but a wide group that are used in Korea and Europe are like amino acids, think polynucleotides, salmon DNA, non-cross-linked type of hyaluronic acid, so it doesn't stay in there forever like some of the ones we use here. But you have never heard of these. Many of you will never know. Well, that's by design. These cause the skin to regenerate its own collagen and elastin, and in fact, fat. And they last longer, so they're more cost effective for you. Less treatments equals less visits to your med spa. I did a complete video on one that I use called Rejuran. I'll link that at the end. One easily accessible skin booster you can get today in the USA, well, it's called Easy Gel and Easy PRF. And when I was working on those protocols to perfect it, we learned a lot about what the skin does in response to that. I'll also link a video. You can watch me get that in my face at the end of this video. Another key that you want to think about for looking great and natural are customized treatments. So meaning you don't go in and get a cookie cutter approach. The facial consult is key, but unfortunately, many people providing these services, they see 10 or 20 patients a month, and it's hard to get trained and to get good with those low volume numbers. At that rate, you'd need to work about 10 years to get experience for a great facial consult. You see, the new generation, well, they are choosing to work 1, maybe 2 days a week. So you need to see an expert that's looking at your entire face, not just your lips, not just your cheeks, not just your chin, or the downturn of the mouth, or just your neck. It's all connected. Now, before I link those videos here to you, you need to know sleep, exercise, your diet, low on simple carbohydrates and sugars is number 1. Your skincare, of course, is your number 2. Now you're going to want to watch this video on Rejuran and this one down here, all about PRF and the all natural skin boosters. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.